Today I'm speaking with Black Atheist Rants. Bar, thank you so much for joining me today.
How you doing, Tim?
I'm doing great. It's so good to see you. I've been looking forward to this for a while. You just to give everyone a quick heads up, Bar is a fellow YouTuber, also doing stuff on Instagram and TikTok. But your work is absolutely pivotal. I love it. I love it. So we're gonna plug your channel, your platforms a couple times here. But just to get a quick bio here, Bar is from Chicago, now lives in Memphis, Tennessee. Not too far. I'm here in Atlanta, Georgia. He attended Christian Brothers University in Memphis, Tennessee. He works in law enforcement and he also does judo, currently working on his black belt. So it's very cool stuff. That's what I know about you so far. If you could tell us more about yourself, and then we'll get started.
Yeah, so I'm really into fitness. I love working out, going to the gym, and just the intensity and like the mindset of like lifting weights and exercising. And I'm real good at like I like art, drawing, and painting. And I actually the newest hobby that I picked up. Don't laugh, but I recently started skateboarding, and so it's I mean this the skateboard community is like genuinely a family. Like those people, like the first day at the skate park, I broke my skateboard and somebody literally went to their trunk and got a skateboard deck out, put the wheels on, and just we literally created a skateboard for me, and I've been using it ever since. So it's like,
That's
you
awesome.
know, learning new tricks and just seeing people skating, all type of random walks of life come up there, and it's like a big family. So that's like something I'm really into these days.
Are you at the level of doing like the ramps and the curls and everything?
I can ollie. I'm working on my kickflip. I can ollie and jump off of stuff and go fast and stop. But the advanced stuff, I'm still working on it.
Gotcha. Very cool. Very cool. I actually interviewed a guy a few months ago from Germany, but he was the skateboard champion of the world one year. So it's
Wow.
interesting. I now got two skateboarders on the channel. Well, we're so glad you're here. Again, I'm so just honestly, really, I just want to say this again. I'm so impressed with your channel, and I kind of just want to give this quick preface for it because it's going to come up in the interview.
Mm,
You have a way of cutting through the just all the garbage, cutting through all the weeds, and just being like, let me just tell you how it is.
yeah.
And a lot of us are used to like being a little bit too nice and like kind of schmoozing and trying to sugarcoat it. And there's times for that because some Christians aren't going to listen if you're just like direct right in their face. But there are also some serious times to just tell it like it is. And I appreciate that. And I'm sure it's going to come up more as we talk about your channel, but I'm sure it'll also come up as you just tell your story. So thank you for being who you are. I'm so glad you're here. But anyway, if you could tell us, how did you get exposed to Christianity and how did that journey go?
Right. So in the beginning, like the Bible, in the beginning, I was living in Chicago with my grandparents, and it all started. I we went to a Baptist church, but I went to like a private Catholic school growing up, and so I'm Tim every day of the week. I'm at church. My grandmother cooked for the church. My grandfather, he was a service. He was a deacon. He was there. I got baptized early on, like at the age of 4 or 5. And, my whole life growing up, my early childhood, we were like a tight knit family. We ate breakfast together, prayed over breakfast, said our grace, ate lunch together. They picked me up from school. We go get lunch together, say grace over that dinner. The whole family eating together, and every day of the week we were at church, and they had all type of after school programs and Sunday school for the kids before the church service. And it wasn't I mean my early childhood was God. That's all it was. Me, God, and my family.
Mm.
Me, God, and Jesus Christ. And it was like it was a community. You know, everybody that you knew went to the same church as you. Like, I'm gonna see Susan at church Sunday, or I see at Bible study on Wednesday. So it's like your all your friends, all your family, everybody that's close to your family, we united at the church. That was like our fellowship. And so this is like the first 7 or 8 years of my life. Just learning about God, learning about Jesus, going to church as a child. And it was like I didn't even notice that. going to a Baptist church but a private Catholic school. I didn't even realize that until like last year. Like, that's pretty out there. We was in there,
Yeah, I was gonna say
and
that's quite a contrast.
but they had the coloring books at the Bible studies where you color in the Bible characters, Noah's Ark, and the guy that was in the whale. We had all type of activities and interesting stuff that for the children and stuff. And like I said, I did get baptized early on, and I cried. Because I didn't know what it was about. I thought it felt like I was getting drowned a little bit, but you know,
Exactly.
I genuinely believe. My early childhood, it wasn't nothing but God. And as I became a teenager, there was no questioning the faith. Everybody was a part of the church or a church. Even as I got older, towards like the 4th or 5th grade, I moved back home, or I moved to Memphis with my mom. And so it was a reality change for me because like I said, the early childhood breakfast together as a family, praying over, saying grace, lunch, dinner, church every day of the week, you know, going twice on Sundays because we would do the Bible study and then the church service, and then we stay to help cook and all that. But when I came to Memphis, it wasn't, saying grace over breakfast and eating breakfast and lunch and dinner together. It was a little less close knit as my family in Chicago, but we still went to church. My grandfather, he would come pick us up. He stayed like 10 minutes away. He would come pick all us up. We go to his church. And of course, Easter Sunday come on, everybody, the whole family, we was in there, and at middle school, high school, I read the Bible. And when I came back to Memphis, I think like my real deal, oh, I'm on fire for Christ moment is when in middle school there was this I want to say like an after school outreach program that the local church had. And so what the church would do is they would, after school, they would have a bus. The church had their own bus, and they would come and pick up all the kids after school who's in the program, and they'd go to the church. And we had a local community center, like a Memphis Grizzly. The Memphis Grizzlies, they had built a community center for the children. It's literally next door to the church. It's called Memphis Athletic Ministry. So it's basically like an after school community center for Christian children. And they had a relationship with the church next door. And so the church would come and get us after school, and we would all go to the MAM Center, play basketball. We do like a devotional. They called it Devo, where the leaders would come and, say a word and pray. We eat a little snack. And then after that, we'd go to the church and learn about God. And, so it was like this was all of middle school, all of high school.
Now, when you were in all that church teaching and exposure with your family, what were the things you were being taught about, like the actual biggest pieces of this puzzle, like in terms of the sin issue and how you get that resolved?
So the biggest thing for my family is, it's like John 3:16. We were, I'm gonna say this because the Black community church is different. We never really like did a deep dive into the word. It was more so like, the pastor do his sermon. We'd make it relatable to our life. And, we just felt like we had a relationship with Jesus Christ. That was the main thing. I really didn't have like a biblical studies scholarship type of understanding with it. Was like, this is my way of life, not my religion. So it's like, but we of course we were taught not to question it. We didn't really ask questions.
Yeah, it becomes really more like a worldview at that point
Yes,
than a belief system.
yes.
What
So,
did you like? What I mean is, did you have a sense though that like you were a sinner and that Jesus was the savior?
of of course. You
Mm.
know, it always felt like, you know, well, I don't want to do nothing wrong because he's watching over me. He's looking over me. You know, as a child, my granny Ella, she would always tell us like, you know, Jesus is watching you. And, you
Yeah.
know, you don't want to. It's kind of like Santa Claus. You don't want to do nothing bad and disappoint Jesus, and you want to make sure that you know, being a good person, being a good grandson, a son for Jesus Christ. So it's like I didn't want to let him down.
The
You
elf on the
know,
shelf.
it always felt like he was somewhere
Yeah.
looking, watching over me.
Now,
You
did
know,
it?
I pray, every night before bed, I was talking to Jesus. We prayed to him faithfully. Like,
Mm.
you know, I know I had a bad day, but you know, help me tomorrow. I didn't want
Mm.
to let him down.
Did you have a pretty firm conviction that faith was going to lead you to go to heaven when you died?
Oh yeah, yeah. I would have dreams about heaven. You know, I really, it felt real. It did.
Mm.
I genuinely believed it because I didn't know anything else. This was my life. This was it.
Mm. And when you were surrounded by all these people, you mentioned, you just church is part of your life.
Everybody.
Did you have any exposure to any other religions? Like, what was the?
No, sir. No,
Mm.
sir. I never heard of Islam and the Buddha. No,
Do you think
especially
that?
not as a child. No.
Do you think that was intentional, like as a form of sheltering?
Well, I don't think they did it on purpose, like maliciously or nothing like that. But I do think it's like ingrained to not question it, to not look outside. That's all we need.
Yeah, everything else is irrelevant.
Why would I go look around? What are they doing over there? It didn't matter.
Yeah.
Our church was huge. Our church had a gym in the bottom of it when I was a child. Where else you gonna go? Tim, every day of the week. How can I have time to, you know, I ain't had no phone. There wasn't no Google for me back then. Little kid. Ain't no Buddha. No Muhammad. Every day of the week, we was at that church.
Mm.
I haven't been to that church in almost 10 years, and I still like, you know, I'll drive past something that remind me of the church. Or I literally daydream about the door that closes, that is like a little pull, like one of those, like, you know how the garage doors are made? The gym has like one of those doors on that you pull. I literally like could picture and draw. I have visions about it's every single day of the week we were there.
Mm. That's amazing, and it's amazing too that when you're in it, it doesn't necessarily feel like abuse or indoctrination. Like some people
Mm-mm.
ask me about my trauma, and I've had several conversations that sort of went attack this topic in several directions. But the idea of like you can be traumatized without knowing you're traumatized, and you can
Mm.
also be traumatized in a context where you actually feel quite happy at the time, where you're like, I have the king of the universe who
Right.
doesn't have to care about me, but he does. He doesn't have to listen to me, but he listens to everything. He's always watching out for me. Heck, I probably even have guardian angels that he's sent to watch over me. I've got this book that's like his love letter to me.
Mm-hmm.
Like what? It's like what was the Apostle Peter? Like, to who else will we go? You alone have the words of life. Like this is a great life, and you're not realizing so many things that are being just shoved down your worldview and put onto you that are actually quite traumatic. Like God always watching you and seeing in your head and always judging you and saying, "I see you. I see what you're thinking. Naughty, naughty. I'm going to get you for that." Like, but you get that stuff in your head. But when you think that the outcome is always, at least for yourself,
Mm.
the outcome, despite the weird trauma stuff, is I'm on the good side. I'm in the good standing with God. When this was all said and done, I'm going to be on the other side of the banks of Jordan. I am good, and I've got peace with God. And when you feel like you're in the club and you got your name's written in the Lamb's Book of Life,
Mm.
you're like everything's good. Whatever trauma is out there doesn't feel like trauma. You just feel like you're on the right side and you're good. But it's amazing when you look back at it how you
Yeah.
realize what was going on.
To speak to what you just said, you know, my life it was completely different from my time with my family in Chicago and my time with my family in Memphis. When I was in Chicago, I had two rooms. I had a room upstairs to myself, and I had a room downstairs. You know, a lot of houses in Chicago got those basements. but it's like rooms downstairs. I had 2 rooms. I had all the toys in the world. My family was always there. I never wanted for nothing. And I was praying for this. So I'm like, I'm blessed. Jesus Christ has blessed me. I don't want for nothing. I had all the nice things, the finer things in life as a child growing up. I was not, like, if I could redo it, that type of life that I had as a child, I would want that for any child. I had everything. And of course, I gave the credit to my Lord and Savior at that time, because my granny Ella told me, good things happen to you because of Jesus Christ, because you praying and worshiping. And then I'm seeing my life like, wait a minute. Again, Tim, at the time, I didn't know that it was like children that don't have rooms. That I went to a private school. All them kids, everybody there was good. We good. This paid for with private money. We good. I had two rooms. I was big dog. And so it's like, as a Christian, I was blessed. That's how it looked. There wasn't no pain, there wasn't no suffering, there wasn't no crying. I wonder if I'm gonna eat tonight. I ain't got no ride. Is my grandma gonna pick me up? No. Everything. I had it all.
It almost sounds like at least in small part, like a level of the prosperity gospel stuff. Like, if you believe in Jesus, he does want you to be healthy and wealthy and prosper. And I know that might not be quite what you were taught, but just maybe the outcome is the same. But it's interesting how that works. I was sort of taught the opposite. We grew up more. We were pretty poor. My dad was a Christian school teacher, so making next to nothing. It was just seen like as a ministry, like you do this for the school to teach kids the Bible. So you make a quarter of what you're worth, but it's a ministry. But we were always kind of like growing up with this mentality of like, that verse that talks about it's harder for the rich to enter the kingdom of heaven than a camel through the eye of a needle.
No,
and the idea of like, like you need to suffer for Christ. Like, like if you're living a easy life, like the devil wants to attack you. He wants to attack your body. He wants to attack your wealth, kind of like Job. He wants to get you. He wants to drive you down. He wants you to make you give the finger to God. And so you need to be like kind of a mover and shaker in the kingdom and expect to suffer. And like the more you suffer and the harder your life is, it was almost like proof like you're on the good side because you're kind of shaking up the kingdom of darkness. And it's interesting how that works, but sort of two sides of the similar coin. But
well, is as you're speaking, I'm thinking about the shift, because my time as a Christian in Chicago as a child, it was like I had it all. But remember, when 5th grade, when I cried because I didn't live with my mom growing up, but I wanted to, and she would always come and visit, but she didn't want me in Memphis with her because of what I'm about to explain to you, and I just couldn't understand why she won't take me with her, why she keep leaving me, and I would cry. 5th grade comes, and I permanently move down to Memphis with her. Oh my! This is when the theology or the doctrine changed, because it went from having 2 rooms, having all the food, all the clothes and toys, and watching all the cartoons and having big TVs in both rooms. It went from that to, oh, wait a minute, we homeless. Well, hold up now. We 5th grade. That was a like reality check at the time, because I didn't have my own room. I got 5 brothers and sisters. We had a 2-bedroom apartment. My mama slept in the front room. The girls had a room, and me and my 2 brothers and my stepbrother, we shared a room. Tim, this is night and day from what I just told you. This is the exact opposite. Wait a minute. The light's off when I come home now. Why? It's nothing but noodles in the fridge, in the kitchen. It's like, I still got Jesus, right? Yeah, because we still going to church. But it's like the type of, I wrote a song and one of the lyrics in it, I said, the shit that I was seeing as a child could make a man cry. And it's like, I had to grow up. I went from being a child and I became like a father as a teenager. I was like 12, 11, 10. I got four siblings that I'm raising. I went from being a child with 2 rooms to having to raise 4 siblings, still believing in Jesus Christ. I was still a Christian. We still didn't, even when I came to Memphis, I still didn't know nothing else but Jesus. But your life changed, and it's like, well, this is when they started preaching about, well, the joy of the Lord is my strength. And you supposed to be able to suffer and carry your cross like Christ did. That's when the theology went from that prosperity to you got to suffer like Christ did. God won't give you none you can't handle. The strongest soldiers. They used to tell me something like the strongest soldiers, bear the heaviest cross or some shit. I'm like, it made sense to me. I'm like, okay, I'm being tested. This ain't nothing. This just got to go through trials and tribulation. But I fought a lot when I came to Memphis. I got into a lot of fights, ran in the streets.
Well, apart from the theology, that's a lot of trauma, such a shakeup like that with no real explanation.
Because I wanted to go with my mama. I wanted to go home. I wanted to go home with her. And when I got there, the family didn't eat together. She was always at work, day and night. We ain't praying together no more. But I'm still believing in Jesus. She barely can take us to church. Granted, my grandmama, not my Granny Yella, because it's 2 different grandmas, but my Granny Yella was in Chicago. My grandma, Geraldine, she got to pick us up and take us to church now. My both sets of my grandparents, the ones in Chicago and the ones in Memphis, they were the ones that really kept us in the church. And so what my mom, when she was at work and stuff, we'd be over there with our grandparents in Memphis, and they would take us to church. They would teach us about God. All my cousins, all my brothers, we over there 10 deep. After we get through playing, we praying, saying grace. So it's like, it still was there. It just was like, it wasn't as privileged as I ain't had. It wasn't the same. I had never made pallets on. We made pallets on the floor in Memphis. There wasn't no beds. We made pallets. All your cousins on the pallet. Again, we still went to church. We still believed in Jesus. This didn't shake my faith. We still there.
Did you feel like it eventually led you even closer to Christ, where it was like, this felt like suffering, but Christ is going to get you through it?
But you got to have something to lean on. You got to have something to lean on. They times get hard. All we knew was to pray. That's what we did. I can't tell you how many times I went down to the altar. You know how they do the altar call?
Oh,
you might well say it's the Black Atheist call. I'm down there. Every guy, you know what? The weight is heavy, Lord. Let me go.
I always
I'm down there every Sunday, Tim. Just you know what, Jesus, look.
I got to the point where I stopped going because I felt like I was like, am I questioning whether I did? Like, did I mean it the last time? And if I do it too many times, does that mean every time I don't mean it? But I know what you mean. And I think that, like, at least the thing that got me was the equivalent of the altar calls was just the pastor's push on the words repentance, where they'd be like, you repent once in this big sense when you first get saved. You repent of your sin. You turn from your sin. Say, I give up my sin. I give up my selfishness, my pride, and I turn to the cross. That's a big repentance. But then, like, every day you have to keep repenting. And it was like these little, like, come to Jesus moments. But it was sort of similar. But yeah, you just get that sense that he's, the prodigal son. You're the prodigal son. And the minute you turn away, it's going to go bad. But the minute you turn back, he's right there with open arms. It's like, keep on repenting, keep on coming back to him. Do your sort of like miniature altar calls, not for salvation, but for sanctification. And yeah, it becomes like a daily thing of, the thing we used to say a lot was, I'm a beggar, but I'm a beggar that knows where the bread is. And of course, the bread is in the word of God. The bread is at the foot of the cross. Now, did you ever sort of figure out why there was that discrepancy economically? Did you get the story behind that?
I just think, my mom, she did her best, but it was hard time for her. But,
Mm,
I mean, that was that was rough
yeah.
because I was really like, the oldest. I was the oldest. So I'm like the glue. But I got a smile. So they wondering what's going on. Hey, look, I used to be like, uh, in a sense, I was raising everybody in the house. Everybody. The grown ups too. Because I would iron everybody's school clothes, get everybody's socks and stuff out, made everybody's socks up for school in the morning. You know, as a teen, I'm in middle school, and I would sit with my younger brothers and sisters and talk to them 2 and 3 hours, just telling them about what I think, at the life. Of course, I don't know nothing, but even at that age, you got a little experience over. You could tell them something, and so I would sit and talk to them about life. And I've been doing. This is another thing I forgot to bring this up, but I've been doing judo since 2010, and I kid you not, Tim, my one of my closest sensei, he looks exactly how Jesus is depicted. I'm not joking. The long beard, Tim, he looked just like him. And he would, and see, this is what I'm telling you. I didn't have, I ain't know my father, never met him, but I ain't have a father growing up. But my senseis, they was Christian, good Christian folk. We praying at judo, before the tournaments, of course. We praying. It was Jesus was everywhere, but my sensei's name was Dustin, and of course, I didn't have a way to judo practice. It's like 30 minutes away. But my grandfather, remember, I was fighting and cutting up, and my grandfather put me in judo to keep me out of trouble. Everybody at judo is Christian, so we still praying. And when Dustin was he was more religious than he's the most religious person I've ever met in my life. He looks just like Jesus, literally. And when he would pick practice was Tuesdays and Thursdays at like 7 p.m. It still is at 7 p.m. He would pick me up for practice, and you know, after practice, when he drops me off, we just sit in the car and like talk about, God, and I that was his way of like, he understood where I was from. He see the area, you see where you dropping me off at. I mean, you hearing gunshots on the way to get me. You know what's going on. But he would sit with me after practice and we would talk. He'd take me to Chick-fil-A or something. This white dude, he don't belong over there. Don't know white people come over there like that. But he did it. He did it. He come get me, take me to judo with him. We train, and I was his uh it's called a uki, like your training partner when you take your test. I was his training partner for him to get his black belt. So me and Dustin was close. He's like in his 30s. He got his family, his wife. I done been over there with his family, wife. I used to go to church with them. But I was like 16 at this time. But, you know, whatever whatever I didn't get at home, I got from my senseis at judo. And I went to church with them.
Mm,
I mean, his church, Tim, I done been to every type of church. His church, I think it was like 3 black people.
mm.
me, the motherfucker playing the drums, and one other dude in the cut. But that was like I was like a culture shock. Like, wait a minute, this is like all white church.
I'm ashamed to say that the church I went to for most of my life was very similar. Ironically, that was like the one of the very few black people is a black girl that she came by herself, and she was literally like my best friend growing up was this black girl, Catherine. But like it was weird being like there's almost no black people in this church, and it was real shell shock. I went to Bible college to be a pastor, and the guy that ran that pastoral department, he took us to some different churches some semesters to like give us exposure. And the first time I went to like it was like the biggest black church in Philly, and I was like, oh my gosh, this is so different. I mean, like
it's so different. Yeah.
number one, you just everyone's dressed to the nines. It's like it's Easter Sunday every Sunday, and there's nurses all over in case people faint. And like you don't like get a 30-minute sermon, like you get a 3-hour sermon, and like you don't try to figure out when you can leave. You try to figure out how long you can stay there and be as close to the Lord and to your community as you can. It's like this is so different, and honestly, so hot. It was so intense the heat, but I learned a lot. But yeah, it's like it's so different, and it's vice versa. And it's amazing when you step back from this the actual experiences we can go through and just think about if God is a God of unity, why are we so divided? It's like it's the most segregated hour, as they say, of the week. And like, how is that? How can that be? I mean, I could see it maybe like a little bit here or there, but it's like all over the place. We're all divided. Yeah. And that alone should have been a red flag to me. It wasn't, but it should have been one of the red flags.
It wouldn't. It would. I mean, I noticed it, but I always attributed it to well, maybe, we used to say like the white folks' neighborhood, and I'm like, well, maybe they just live out there. But it's like I didn't think too much about it. I just felt like, well, it's like that's where they live at. So, geographically, we can't go to this church because it's far. It's like 30 minutes away from my house. And so I just assumed, it was like location. That was my biggest thing. Like, it's just the location. And that's what I would tell myself.
Probably too.
But that is actually money. True. But it's due to it's due to something else. Yeah.
Can I ask you on the note of churches? And I want to keep moving with your story. But while we're on the topic of churches, did you get the sense of Jesus having more white skin versus black skin, or
never noticed it. It didn't really dawn on me like that. We didn't think about it like that.
But I mean, do you remember any pictures you saw?
Yeah, I saw the white. We had the white Jesus hanging up. Okay. It was everywhere. I mean, my granny Ella, she had like, it was weird because she had like the little black baby angel porcelain statue things, and it was like the white Jesus posters was hanging on the wall and framed up and stuff like that. So it didn't really dawn on me like that because I wasn't really. Let me see how I can put this. I was Christian before I was black, so I didn't really see it like that. That's the thing that's going on right now. But looking back, that's the perfect way to put it. I was Christian before I was black at the time, so it was like I didn't really see it as he's different from me. I just roll with it. I wouldn't talk to question it, so I didn't.
I definitely want to return to this in a little bit as we talk more about your perspective later on, but I don't want to, sidetrack you too much from the actual timeline of your story. As you're going through all this, you're there, sort of helping your mom to raise the family. You're getting this camaraderie with your judo instructor and their church. Like, where did your relationship with God and just Christianity go from there?
If it wasn't for Dustin, I probably would have figured it out a little sooner. But, Dustin was like, he kind of reminded me of my family in Chicago. Like, I didn't have nothing in Memphis. I didn't have nothing. And he was the only person, because at this point, my grandfather had passed. But my grandfather was the one taking me to judo. He passed away. These people I'm not bragging, but they'll tell you this too. I was such a good team player, and I was such a big part of the culture at our club. They couldn't practice without me. We need bar here. I'm like 17, but I'm the life of the show because I looked at those my people. And so I'm like one of the youngest ones, but I was big enough to where I could train with the smaller judoka, and I can spar with the older judoka, and we had the hard wrestling mat. We didn't have the nice Japanese tatami mat. We had the wrestling mat. Wrestling, it's hard to do judo on wrestling mats. I was only one of the only ones that could actually take those falls and take the punishment to actually train the team to get ready for tournaments. So they couldn't practice without me, but they wanted me there. And so when he passed away, these good Christian folks took it upon themselves to drive out their way. They live down the street from the gym. They driving the opposite direction to come get me and drive back 30 minutes. That's a whole hour just to get me there. And these was Christian folk. And I'm like, Jesus Christ is working through Dustin. Because he believes like I do, and he's helping me, and he's praying for me. He tell me, I'm praying for you last night. You know, this was on my heart. Jesus told me to tell you. We was sitting in the car. He just tell me all this. Like, man, you know, I believe in you. And Jesus, we pray. He pray over me. And he didn't mean, man, Dustin wouldn't hurt a fly, a butterfly. He didn't mean no harm. He just genuinely, he believed, and he was doing what he thought was right. And he felt like, you know, helping me was what the Lord was telling him to do. And he's the one that kept me going. Cause you know, whatever doubt I had, how you gonna have doubt when motherfuckers coming out their way in the name of Jesus to come get you? No, please. It wasn't no, man, all that lukewarm shit, he helped me. I didn't want to let Dustin down. Because I'm like, well, I don't want to, you know, life was hard, times was hard. I had straight A's in school, but my life was fucked up outside of school. And I didn't want to like doubt Jesus or nothing like that. And I didn't want to let Dustin down. And I didn't want to be like, I didn't want to not read my Bible. I didn't want to not be praying and staying close to God because I got people that care about me that's believing in God. I don't want to let them down. I ain't want to let them down. And so I stayed at it. Stayed going. And now again, Tim, this whole time I'm still going to the after school program after school. Still going to the church. Still participating and being active in the church this whole time. And so that's Tuesday, Thursday, we going to judo. And before judo, I'm at the MAM Center with the church, the Memphis Athletic Ministry with the church. After that, we go to the church. When I get home, we go to judo. Me and Dustin praying out the judo. And on Sundays, if I didn't go to church with Dustin, I was going to the church that the church that I was going to after school. I was still there. It wasn't nowhere around it.
It's amazing how all those kinds of intense churchianity programs, they obviously can help a lot of us who otherwise we might have gotten ourselves in trouble. They keep us on the straight and narrow in a sense. It's like you don't have time to get in trouble when you're constantly doing ministry or showing up for church events. But it's amazing too that it begins to sort of make you feel like you've made it part of your own. Like you've kind of, even if you haven't, like you have no idea how to actually investigate the claims of Christianity yet. You just feel like you're kind of saying, I grew up in this. So it was like my parents' faith, but it's like, now I'm doing it. And if my parents were suddenly like not interested, I'd still go. I'd still be a part of it. I'd still be a leader. And you begin to sort of feel like you're making it a part of your life. And I used this illustration before, but I think it fails a little bit, but I think it helps. You know, in The Matrix, when the first one, when Neo gets shot, and then he's dead, but then he wakes back up. And when he wakes back up, he doesn't see the hallway with the agents and the guns. He just sees the green code, you know? And because now he's literally at this point, he's transformed into the one, and he can now actually see the matrix, the actual code of the computer program that he's plugged into. And you get to a point, I think, where you begin to kind of see God everywhere, even though it's, again, you have no idea of the tools to actually investigate the worldview claims. but you just feel like you're kind of seeing God everywhere. It's almost like you don't need any more proof. You just like, I saw a miracle. I felt God. I felt the power. You feel him moving in these small groups and the prayer groups and the judo and the church stuff. And eventually you just feel like you're part of, you're plugged in, but you're plugged in a way that's like powerful, and it sort of reinforces, even though you truly do not have the capacity or the information to make an informed decision. You have almost no information about where this thing came from, but they're good. They're really good. I mean, Christianity's good at indoctrination. They get you sucked in to the point where you want to be part of this. This is your community, and you feel like you're seeing God's power, and you feel like your worldview is, I just see God everywhere. I see God's work in my life. And like those Christians bringing you to judo and to church, it's like God is clearly at work here. Like there's no denying it. He's alive and he's well and he's in my life, and he's got good things going on. You know, what God, what's next? What do you got? What's my adventure that you have for me? And when you're at that point, man, it can suck you in so good. I mean, that's where my story was different in the details, but the same concept of like, once you get to a certain point, you're like, God has taken the wheel of my life, and I am a child of God. I'm a soldier for the kingdom, you know?
Yeah. You know, you was talking about the capacity to like even investigate. It was Jesus or the devil. There wasn't no in between. So anytime felt like I was steering away from Jesus, I'm like, well, now I'm with the devil and the demons, and I didn't want to do that. So it wasn't no. As a teenager in high school, I still was not caught up on any other religion. I didn't know about none of that. I had never heard of an atheist. I never knew that was a thing. I never heard of that. A non-believer? What? That's crazy. All I knew was you either with God or you backsliding or you lukewarm or you got to get back right with God. I didn't know that it was a outside of that at the time. It wasn't. I didn't know nothing about that.
I can second that. I think I was probably the same thing. It's the same way. It's amazing how you just get so sheltered. So once you're at that stage, what was it like as you transitioned from then into young adulthood?
Well, high school, I had to grow up fast. So 9th, 10th grade, I was still, they say you got milk behind your ears. I was still a baby. Now, 11th and 12th grade, I started understanding, or like I started being able to process life a little bit differently. Like I understood why the lights was off. I understood why it ain't no food in the kitchen. I knew why mama wasn't coming home, why she's always gone. She working 2 jobs. I understand now. I get it. I understand. A lot of children in the movies and TV shows, they getting mad at their parents for like not being able to get them shoes and clothes. That was not me. As soon as I understood how this shit worked, it wasn't no reason to be mad. I used to tell my mother, I used to be like, because in the Black community, every year before school start, everybody getting new shoes, new clothes. This was the thing. I would tell my mother, you don't have to give me anything. And what happened was, it was a disconnect. She thought I was saying, don't get me anything because I know you can't afford it. But I was just like, I was in my head, I didn't know if if I expressed it to her the way it was in my head. I'm like, I know that if you have to make a cut or make a sacrifice, I would rather it be me so that my brothers and sisters can get what they need. I'm not mad that you can't give me anything, but I know what I like and I know I can't get that right now. So since I can't get it, I don't want nothing because I would rather you spend it on them. That's what I was thinking in my head. It didn't get received like that, but I started understanding like the lights cost money. Food costs money. And you gotta make money. You can't make money if you at home all day. I understood that. And I was like, as I became a young adult, this is when I really was like a fucking father to all my brothers and sisters. Because I'm explaining to them, hey, look, mama doing the best she can. And when she get here, we just gotta show love. It ain't nothing to be mad about. Because it's hard out here. That's what I understood this in fucking 11th grade. It is hard out here. And when I look back, I'm like, she did for what she had and what she did a damn good job.
Mm.
I
That's
had,
amazing.
yeah. So it's like as a young adult, I didn't, again, Tim, I still didn't know about other religions. I still didn't apply this type of critical thinking to God. I applied it to real life, not religion. Asking 100 questions, planning for the best, hoping for the best, planning for the worst. Being able to uh, uh, come up with a game plan and have a routine and getting questions answered. That was how real life was. I didn't challenge my beliefs like that. I challenged the real world. I didn't challenge my beliefs like that.
Mm.
It was still Jesus ride or die. It wasn't. It still was. Even though if you look at my life outside of religion, you'd be like, damn. If he would just apply that type of thinking to religion, I never did it. Never thought to do that. But as a young adult,
Mm.
I was a realist. I'd be like, look, I don't have the best clothes and shoes because I can't afford it. And that's okay. And I didn't cry over that. I stopped being sad about that. Growing up, I was, again, if you look at how my life was as a child, I had everything. When I came to Memphis, it was a switch. I didn't have shit. We was taking fucking bird baths in the restroom at school in elementary, getting dressed for school in the back of the car in elementary. We didn't know where to go. And I was sad about it. Soon as I hit fucking high school, I'm like, oh, that's the answer to that. I understand that now. So I was, because I was 30 at 18, 17. I was 30 mentally as far as dealing with problems. I had already learned to I I was hoping for the best, but I knew this could have happened. So it's nothing to cry over. We're gonna be all right. We're gonna figure out a plan.
Mm.
But again, I
It's
was still on fire for Jesus. That part of my life, it was still Jesus Christ.
amazing that you had to really grow up fast and sort of have a maturity beyond your years so early. And I mean, it sounds like you handled it very, very, very well. But it's just that's a lot to take on. And
Mm-hmm.
did you ever see that movie Good Will Hunting?
I don't think I ain't watched a lot of movies growing up.
Okay. Did you see The Matrix? I know I referenced it. Okay.
I did see the Matrix. I did
Okay.
see the
So you knew
Matrix.
that one.
Yeah.
There's a scene in Good Will Hunting where the professor character, who is Robin Williams, he's talking to the younger guy, Matt Damon, and they're talking about Matt Damon's past, and it's clear to the professor that Matt Damon has some real trauma from what he went through. And he comes up to him at one point, they're like in his office or something, and he's like, "It's not your fault, man. It's not your fault."
Yeah.
And he starts to say it like 30 times. And Matt Damon's like, "Yeah, no, I agree. It's not my fault." Like, no, it's not your fault. And he keeps saying, "It's not your fault. It's not your fault. Man, it's not your fault." And then eventually Matt Damon's like, "What are you fucking with me? Like, stop saying that. I know it's not my fault." It's like, "It's not your fault. It's not." And eventually, literally, he breaks down, and Matt Damon eventually starts crying. He's like, years of this feeling of like, oh my gosh, I had the weight of the world on me.
Yeah.
And it took that intensity of that character of the teacher to, and sort of like a counselor friend at that point to break through and say, like, you can say it's not your fault. You can say it didn't hurt. You can say you're okay now. You got over it. But like when you look back at some of this stuff, it's like, oh my God, like that stuff absolutely hurts so much. And I can feel the strength that you brought to the table. But man, that's a lot to take on as a young man.
Mm. Yeah.
Hmm. In terms of Christianity, where did you go from there once as you're sort of growing in your strength and your understanding of how the world works? A lot of stuff. It's amazing to me when I think back at some stuff that you just realize that word reparenting yourself comes into play. I remember for years I'd sit at the top of the stairs and I'd hear my dad just scream his head off at my mom. And I'd just sit there and cry and wish I could stop it. And there's years I think, it's, that was 30, 40 years ago,
Yeah.
like some days it comes back and just, it hurts. I hope you know it wasn't your fault. You're an amazing man. If I could, I'd reach through and give you a big hug, man. I think I'm speaking for a lot of other people in the community that would say, we'd love to give you a big hug right now. It's hard to grow up too fast. It's really hard to grow up too fast.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I see it a little bit in my kids, what we're going through currently as a family, and you try your best to shield them, but it doesn't always work.
Yeah.
We love you, man. You did an awesome job, and I'm sure you kept those kids so much safer and so much more loved and cared for than I can probably imagine.
I tried, Yeah.
Hmm.
But yeah.
Take your time.
Nah, it was yeah.
Sounds like, as well, looking back at your story so far, and I know that you figured out how important it was to be a man of character. And obviously, looking back on it from our perspective now, that has nothing to do with the Bible or Christianity, but just the fact you would take the high road and to not blame your mom, to not be punishing her for the lack of means that she obviously tried so hard to get, to give you a good life, but just that sometimes it doesn't work out. I certainly know that feeling, painfully so at the moment. And it's just like, you got to look at your parents and say, I recognize that you're trying, and I just appreciate what you can do, knowing we all want to give our kids a magical childhood. It's not always going to happen that way, but
Well,
kudos. I'm sure she appreciated it. Did you ever get a chance to talk to her about just like how much you, appreciated her for what she did do?
Mm-hmm.
So,
Yeah. My I ain't you know you see the movies where like the parents be sad because they couldn't get the kids.
Yeah. I know one thing that just blesses my heart a lot to think about is the fact that at the end of the day, they're not going to remember how many video games they played. They're going to remember how many times that you as a kid cried, or they as a kid cried, and you came to to the rescue and gave them the hug, gave them the Band-Aid, and they're going to know that you cared about them. So that's sounds like you probably had a lot of chances to do that too for your siblings.
Yeah, I just I ain't want to be like sad. I was damn near grown. The clothes for teenagers are high, so I was like, well, I was just like, well, instead of getting me something, you just get them something. And so what I did was, I used to cut grass. When I was, goes back to the church. My first job, my first car, everything came from that church. My first job, I was cutting grass. It was the summer of my 11th grade year. Um, ran into, the church knew I wanted a job. They hooked me up with a job. And the dude, he was the dude I was working for in the summertime. We would pray every day before we cut the grass and stuff. So he was deep into Christian. I would go to church with him when he had a thing where like he would hire all of the young teenagers from his neighborhood to make money in the summertime, get closer to God, hang out. He would have basketball tournaments and PlayStation tournaments and stuff. We go over there with him and hang out and stuff. But I didn't live by. Once again, this is the Christians going out their way to come pick me up. I stay 30 minutes that way. And so he would drive. Now, all of the people he hired, they live right around the corner from him. He would drive 30 minutes just to pick me up so I could cut grass every day of the summer. Jesus Christ.
Mm.
And so at that point, I'm able to buy my own clothes now. I'm telling my mama, you good. You just buy them some. Because I could, buy my own stuff. I always wanted to dress up. I like to dress up, not down. So when I finally was able to buy my own clothes, I used to dress up for school every day. Like I wear the button up blazer. I like that. I like that. I like that style. So I used to do that. And then when I got in the 12th grade, again, still a Christian, still going to the after school program, still going to church. When I got in 12th grade, um, I was real good at math. And so I was making money. I used to tutor 11th, 10th, and 9th grade math. And so the school was writing me a check to tutor. I would take that check and use that to like pay the phone bill. So I was like able to do stuff then. And so
Nice.
let me tell you about my church. My church came to my school and did like a giveaway raffle thing. My church that I go to came to my school and did a giveaway in high school. I walked to school 9th, 10th, 11th grade. I walked to school every morning. Rain, sleet, or snow. It's like a 30-minute walk. We walked to school. There and back. So 12th grade comes and my church did a raffle at my school. They gave away headphones, scooters, Bluetooth speakers, uh, and bikes. See what I'm saying? I'm walking to school. They had a raffle giveaway and give away all this stuff. What happened was, people, they didn't have enough faith. So when they was calling the raffle, people was winning stuff. It got down to the last bike. I kid you not. It got down to the last bike. And everybody who was sitting next to me, they had left and dropped their tickets on the floor. I done went behind them and picked up every ticket. I got a handful of tickets, Tim. 6 tickets spread across. My pastor is calling the numbers. And one of them tickets was the number for the bike. man, I ran and slid on stage. Everybody was laughing, but I ran and slid on the stage. Because guess what just happened? My church, my God, Jesus Christ, I just got a bike. Because I had faith and then dropped no tickets.
Wow.
I got the bike, rode the bike to school every day.
Hmm.
Was able to stay later and tutor. Was able to ride the bike after I get my check from the school. I would ride my bike to the bank, cash the check. Now I got a bank account. Oh my, what? Oh, I was turned up. Jesus Christ, man, I was turned up. And so,
He's showing up big at that point.
all again, the job and the bike come from believing in Jesus Christ and the church. Now this the big one, right? This the kicker. Now remember, I didn't have a way to judo. My coaches was picking me up, and so what happened was there's two different gyms. We had one. It's called Ed Rice at the Ed Rice Community Center, and then we got Memphis Judo and Jiu Jitsu. That's two different ones. One is a little bit advanced than the other. Remember, my original gym, we didn't have the tatami mats. We had the wrestling mats. I wanted to train with the fucking state champions and the coaches at Memphis Judo, they was going overseas and fighting. I wanted to train with them so I can bring it to my club. Because my club trained on, I wanted to bring it to them. So what I started doing was I started riding my bike. It's a 3-hour bike ride, one way. I started riding my bike to the big boy club. I wanted to be out there with Memphis Judo now. I started riding my bike out there. 3 hours there, 3 hours back. I did this for like 2 months. Now again, I got the bike from God. I got the job from God. I used what God gave me, and I was riding the bike to judo. One of the trainers at judo, he worked for the Commercial Appeal, which is the newspaper. He was like, they used to call me D. He's like, D, how did you get here? I was like, I rode my bike. He was like, what? I said, yeah, I rode my bike. So I'm on 5. I rode my bike. But he was like, they know I stayed in the hood. They knew it was far. So he was like, he Googled it. It's like, D. Like, yeah, like it's 3 hours and 26 minutes. I know. With a smile on my face, I'm like, I know. And I just kept doing it. And so I never forget it. I still got the I'm gonna show it to you. Hold on. I want to show it to you. Hold on.
Yeah, take your time.
So one of our older sensei, he now all then remember, everybody that's involved is Christian. Everybody. And so one of our elder instructors, he found out what I was doing. And he was like, well, D, I make you a deal. If you can get here on the bike, I'll take you home. Because I was riding there and back. And it's like 8 at night. I'm getting home like that's not safe. Especially where I live at. So he made me a deal. He said, well, if you can get here, I'll drop you off. And so that's what he did. And he did that for like 2 weeks, the whole summer. And so one day I left my judo gi in his truck on accident. He takes it home and washes it. And when he washed it, he was like, it was like one of the cheaper ones. So what he did, now again, all these people are Christian. I had always wanted this right here. This is a double weave, like Olympic tournament style gi. And he takes it upon himself to buy me this. These are $150. He bought me this. And I got my original club stamp on it. The Fraser Judo Club. I got my original club stamp on it. But so he bought me this. I had always wanted it. And when he bought it for me, he was an older guy. They don't show their emotions, but he just threw the package on the bench. And he ain't say nothing. He just threw it on the bench beside me. He brought my gi that he washed and he threw that one on the thing.
Mm.
And so I went in the restroom and cried. Because I had always wanted one. And I'm like, damn, this is Jesus Christ. Thank God.
Yeah.
Now, going back to the commercial appeal guy, remember, we believe in Jesus now. All these white folk believe in Jesus. That man told his reporter friends about what I was doing. You know, I'm making straight A's, tutoring 11th, 10th, and 9th grade, driving my bike 3 hours, surviving in the fucking hood, helping with the family. This man told these people about this stuff, and they wanted to, like, you know, do a story, interview me and stuff like that. And I was about to go to Christian Brothers at the time too. So the lady and the lady with the mic and the dude with the camera, they followed me around with the camera and just followed me around. Followed me to the, okay, hold on, wait. I missed one step. The church also provided me with a mentor. Now this is the key to the story. The church provided me with a mentor who owns all the fucking hotels. He owns all the hotels. His name is Kim Wilson. He owned all the hotels. Big name. I mean, his fucking family name is on. You ever heard of the Holiday Inn?
Yeah.
Yeah, his family, all that. That's their shit. It's come from the church now. So I'm sitting down at the same time as I'm riding the bike, and the same time as my coach is doing this, and I'm going to church and all this stuff. I'm sitting down with this rich white dude talking about life. We go to Pyro's Pizza, talking about life. All us Christians. He talking about Jesus Christ. I'm talking about Jesus Christ. I'm taking notes. Cool, man. He telling me about life and all this stuff. He didn't know what I was doing. Remember, the reporter with the camera and the lady taking notes and recording my lifestyle and stuff like that. She followed me everywhere. She followed me everywhere. They got pictures of me on the wall at the judo club because the reporters came to follow me to judo. They came and was taking pictures and recording me at judo, like just follow my lifestyle. My mentor, who's the rich man, he gets word of this. All of us are Christian. I'm on fire for Christ. He gets a word of this. And one summer morning, right before I was about to ride my bike to judo, he called me. He said, hey, you know, I heard about you. I heard what you're doing. I'm going to make you a deal. He said, I'm going to pay for you to go to driving school. And if you can graduate driving school, I'll buy you a car. So, first job, my bike, my mentor, and my first car came from that church. I graduated the driving school. The very next week, we go get the car. Paid for cash. No car note, no. He paid $7,000 cash for me, 18 years old, to get a car. Little black dude from no man's land. He paid $7,000 to get me a car. Like it was nothing. And we praising Jesus Christ. All glory to God. Can't nobody tell me I wasn't no real. Can't nobody look me in my face and tell me, Black, you wasn't a real Christian. That church, I mean, I was in there to the point where it gave me, I got everything from the church. You can't, I didn't know there wasn't no Jesus. I didn't know, it was my life. When I got that car, I was prayed up. I was like a priest or a pope. You hear me? I was faithful. And I got my reward. I got that car. And man, I was able to help in ways that I wasn't able to help before. Now I got a car. I help drop the kids off at school. Oh shit, come on now. Oh man, dude, she ain't have to worry about nothing. My family don't have to worry about nothing. I'm able to pick them up and we can just go. Let's all go to the movie. Let's go get something to eat. Me and my brothers, the new PlayStation come out. I'm a family man. New PlayStation come out. If I go get me one, I'm about to get them one. We done went to GameStop off, like, just wake up one day. We done went to GameStop, buy the PlayStation. And you see, I forgot to tell you, I was in the military too. I was in the military at this time. I was in the National Guard. And the National Guard was paying me money. And I had a car. When I got paid for the National Guard, I would take all the kids in the neighborhood, walk them to the corner store, and just buy everybody a bag of chips and something to drink. It was sunny outside on the weekend. I would be getting out of drill with my uniform on. I just wanted to, give back or help. Walk all the kids to the. It was like a fucking Million Man March. All of us just walked to the corner store.
So at that point, it sounds like you were really just sensing that God was majorly at work in your life.
Yeah, I was in there.
Did you feel like I mean, some of that stuff is obviously very public. At the same time, did you feel like there was like a private sense of like you were drawing closer to God through all that, like in your prayer life and your worship?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Jesus Christ. All in the name of Jesus. Ooh. I felt like I was goddamn sent. And then at the church, oh man, I left this out. At the church, our pastor would lay hands. And when they would lay hands on me, I would have like dreams. White clouds, fucking feathers and wings and halos, and white dude in the cloud talking to me, telling me I'm doing good. I was, man, look, I was like a prophet, because when they would lay hands, like, because they laid hands at church and at the after school program. Like, if we prayed and stuff, they would lay hands. And whenever they laid hands on me, I was taking it as an opportunity. I'm about to really try to go and talk to God. I'm about to genuinely try to dream and go talk to God. They put the hands on me, put the blanket. I'm really trying to get deep to go there and talk to Jesus. And I would try to stay there as long as I would. It'd be time where I'd be down on the ground for like 30, 40 minutes. After they because I'm not sleeping. I'm trying to talk to Jesus. And I would have dreams. I would have visions about talking to he would be like, and when I woke up, they would ask me, what did he say? And I would tell them what he said. At one point, they used to have me give a testimony at church about what I saw and how I was going. I'm at the church telling my story on stage in front of everybody.
But you are certainly good at leading us up to the $1 million question. How in the world does someone who's that on fire for Jesus, who has seen so many doors open because of your faithfulness and your you're talking to God and staying on the straight and narrow with Him, someone who's got so much desire to change your friends and your family for good and for the Lord, how does someone who's that intense question their faith? What in the world happened to turn this story to where you are today?
Christian Brothers University. Christian Brothers University. So at Christian Brothers University, it is required to take a religious studies class. And so the first time I took the class, I didn't like it. I failed it. I didn't like it. I didn't like how he was going. I didn't like how he was going through the Bible. I didn't like it. Didn't do the work. Didn't want to. I didn't like it. I didn't do it. Now, the second time I took the class, that was the first semester I took the class. The second time I took the class was the problem. I wanted to retake it. What had happened was, the second time around, I was going to Christian Brothers University, living on campus. Everybody's Christian. It wasn't none of that other shit. Everybody was Christian. At this time, I still don't know about all this other religious stuff going on, all these schisms and isms. I didn't know nothing about all that. So, the second time I took the class, I was also taking a philosophy class too. Same day. my religious studies class, it's like a Bible study, but they say religious studies, but it's really just the Bible. It's not all religion. It's just Christianity. My religious studies class was at 7:30 a.m. My philosophy class was like at 11. So what was happening was the philosophy class made me want to take the religious studies class serious. Because remember, my whole life I had to grow up fast, and I had to apply critical thinking to real life, or we could fucking unalive. We could die. You can't. It was literally life or death. We were trying to survive, so you had to apply critical thinking. You had to ask 100 questions. You had to plan for the best, hope plan for the best, or plan for the worst, hope for the best. You had to analyze all of your plans and break down to a T why this is the right decision, because we can't afford to make a mistake. You might not eat tonight if you fuck this up. So that all of those asking and in school, I was the kid in the class that was doing this the whole time. When I do this, everybody be like, they already knew I got 100 questions. I never applied this to religion. When I took that philosophy class when the first day, that motherfucking lady got up there, I would stay after class and she would have a big smile on her face. I would stay after class and just pick her brain, asking questions. She was showing me, like, it's okay to ask questions when it comes to how do we get here? Why are we here? What? I had never done this like that. And she would just sit there with a smile on her face like, yes, you can ask those questions. It's okay to ask about the Bible. I'm like, huh? People do that? That's a that's a thing? And so the religious studies class is talking about the Bible, doing it. It's like an internal critique, because our professor, he was Christian, but he wasn't challenging the beliefs. He was more so breaking down the stories, why it happened, how it happened, and as if it's true, an internal critique. The philosophy teacher, professor, she was like, um, these deep, big questions in life, religion don't really answer them like we think. I'm like, what? Huh? So yeah. Then she started putting up all these philosophers. Like, I think Nietzsche was like, God is dead. I'm like, huh? This is a thing? People do this? I'm like, wow. So I started like just going on YouTube and like, okay, who is Friedrich Nietzsche? What is he saying? Why is he saying this? Wait a minute. People did what in the name of God? This is a thing? Nah. Nah. Chill out. Stop. Y'all trolling me. I'm a people person. I love people. I was the person. If you ain't got enough for all of us, no, I don't want it. I'm not eating in front of people. I'm not doing that. If I can't, I was the person who, when I see homeless people, I'm gonna give them something. It's not. I can't. I'm that person. I'm an empath. I'm a people person. And when I see all this stuff, like, yeah, there's a lot of religion. What? There's multiple gods, huh? Yahweh isn't the. Hold on, wait a minute, nah, chill. There was too much. I had to. Oh man, she threw me off. I took her class. Her class made me want to read the Bible. Her class made me want to go into that other class, and I'm like this. I'm leaning on every word he say. Let me go look that up. Is that true? That ain't true. But wait a minute, it is true for me. You mean to tell me personal experience is not, don't mean it don't make it out? I didn't know that. I didn't know that was a thing. I didn't know nothing about all that. You supposed to question your faith? Mm, mm. And I wasn't, the only reason why I wasn't like scared or like fearful is because, I mean, I felt like I said I'm there to learn. I kept telling myself I'm just learning. I'm just trying to learn. I ain't trying to make it. I didn't think it was that big of a deal. I'm just trying to learn. That's all I kept telling myself. I just want to learn. I want to know what she know to see. And at the end of her class, it's crazy because she's literally why I am who I am when it comes to the YouTube. Because at the end of her class, the last project for the semester is like a video animation or like a video skit about a topic. And I chose religion. And I can't find the video. I'm still looking for it, but my first taste of it was I did like a skit where I'm sitting in the car with myself. And it's like I'm talking to myself about like, there is no evidence for this stuff. But from where I came from, it's like, no. And the way she approached it, it wasn't like, she's a professional. She ain't force nothing on me. She told me to ask the question. She was just like, just think about it. Did you know that there were more than one? Did you know this? Did you know that the Christian God ain't first? And history shows a different picture? Did you know about that? Mm-mm. I thought in the beginning God made heaven and earth, right? No, Black, exactly. No, Black. And she was like, well, just look into it. Listen, I'm gonna tell you what the turning point. My professor, she invited me to dinner with all her professor friends. I went and ate with them people. Oh my God. I ain't never seen. The room was, I stayed and just talked like 2-3 hours, just sitting there talking, picking brains. The most intellectual table of motherfuckers I had ever seen. I ain't never seen it. You mean all you motherfuckers just get together and ask questions and challenge each other like this? This a thing? Oh man. Oh man.
That's awesome.
Ooh, that was cool. I can't. Yeah. That was the turning point.
That's amazing. What can I ask? What were some of the hardest points for you to swallow as you began to learn some new things? Like, what are the things you just like that? If that's true, that changes everything. You mentioned the whole probably you're referring with the multiple gods to the pantheon of gods in the Old Testament.
I didn't. Yeah.
But what were some of the other things that just made you stop in your tracks?
Well, of course, I had never read this. I had never read it before. I had never read it. I never knew it was in there. Nobody ever brought it to my attention. But when I got to the part about slavery, oh my God, I was, I didn't get my high school and middle school wasn't the best. And of course, my Christian Catholic private school wasn't going to teach me this shit. I didn't know a lot about African American heroes and black history. I didn't know a lot about this stuff. I knew Martin Luther King, Rosa Parks, Malcolm X, a little bit about. I didn't know a lot about Malcolm. I knew a little bit about Malcolm X. I knew about
Frederick Douglass.
Barely.
Yeah.
I know about him now, but I didn't know about him then. The main person I knew about was Martin Luther King and Rosa Parks. Those were the main two I knew about. And so I knew that we was Christian during slavery. I knew that. That's all I knew. I didn't know about all that other shit, but I knew that, we was Christian. I ain't know nothing about no Ethiopia. I ain't know nothing about none of that shit. All I knew was slavery happened. That's all I knew. When I read that Bible, because I had never read it like by the chapter. It was always, hey, turn to this verse. Oh, that's a proverb. I like that verse. I like that. Jesus said what? Oh, that's fire. That's cold. Woo! I like that. No. Actually, go from the first verse to the damn. This is tough. This is tough. This is tough.
Mm. I
Slavery,
think, well,
slavery effed me up.
I think that one passage, I forget the exact reference, but the one especially where it says, if you beat your slave
Oh yeah, that's Exodus. Oh
and
my
they can't
goodness.
get up for 2 days, you're
Yeah.
okay. But after the third day, if they die, then you've gone too far. But like, so basically you can beat them to an inch of their life
Mm-hmm.
and that's okay. And then the other one that got me a lot was if you get a male slave and then later on you get a female slave, like for him to marry, and
Gotta
later
poke a hole. Yeah,
yeah, poke a
yeah.
hole in, but then he
Mm-hmm.
wants to get his freedom.
Mm-hmm.
He can earn his freedom, but his wife and the kids stay with you as the slave master. Like, yeah, like what
That was.
what honorable man is going to be like, I got my freedom, but the rest of you got my whole family, my loved ones. I'm going to let you guys stay in slavery. Like
Mm.
that, the insanity of that, yeah, it blows your mind, and we're just touching the tip of the iceberg. But and the fact that like that's one track, but the other track of like Christians trying desperately to defend it
Mm-hmm.
is like, oh my god, like what the hell is wrong with you? And it's like you have all these verses of like be kind and be caring, and God's love, and there's freedom in Christ. There's neither male nor female, slave nor free. We're all one in Christ. And then they go try to defend the genocide and the slavery and the land theft and the child brides and the stoning, and just like, oh my god, like what is wrong with you guys? These two kinds of verses do not go together,
Mm.
and they just that it's like you get eventually you're like, you all were my people and you were the people I trusted with the interpretation, but you're becoming not my people anymore. I don't want to go to you because the more you all talk, the less respect I have for you. You all are truly talking out both sides of your mouth. And eventually it's like, I don't think they realize it, but they literally dig the hole for us.
I had never heard of apologetics. I never knew that like Christians defend. I never knew about none of this. This is foreign to me. I'm like, ain't we all, black community, we all Christian. People don't ask you, do you believe in God? And they don't ask you, what religion are you in? They ask you, what church do you go to? They don't ask you, what's your religious belief? They never ask. They ask you, what church do you go to? It's just automatic. So I never knew about all this debating. I didn't know this was a thing. I never heard of none of this. I never knew this echo chamber existed of people actually debating and defending Jesus Christ wasn't a real person. This is a thing? I never heard of this stuff. I never heard of it. I was like 22. I never heard of this stuff.
Well, in terms of just context, I got to give you kudos. You asked the right questions about in terms of the ages. You asked the right questions about 10 to 15 years before I did. I asked some of these same questions, but it was much later. It was like mid 30s. So kudos to you for asking the right questions at the earlier age, because obviously it's an ideal thing to be able to escape earlier and reclaim more and more of your adulthood, as opposed to doing it when you're late 30s or later.
Yeah.
But I'm glad you had the austerity and the just the bravery, because a lot of that's the bravery of thinking, if I go down this path, I'm basically giving God the finger. I'm saying that the devil might have me, but I'm okay with that. There's just a lot of fear factors that pull people right back in and say, shut those questions down, this is too dangerous. You're going to have hell to pay if you don't stop asking these questions. And a lot of people they either never go there, or they start but then they stop real quick because they're so afraid to have those questions. That's awesome that you did that.
I keep saying that I was a people person. I still am. And so it's like the way she approached it, it was like, I guess it's nothing to be scared of, to just talk to her. She wasn't mean or rude or nothing. She was a cool person. And so I was like, well, if it's okay for her to talk like that and be nice, surely she ain't out to get me. I done seen, and it's another thing, growing up in the hood, you see bad people. I know what a bad person is. I know what it's like to have to fight bad people off of you, or it's either them or you. I know what bad people look like. You know, Christians, they don't. She wasn't a bad person, so I was like, I can talk to her. She was cool.
Hmm.
She was cool. She reminded me of, and I had been around my whole life. I had been around like, well, see, because let me say it like this: white people that I came in contact with, they weren't bigots or racist or like them rednecks. They weren't like no, no. So I didn't have no reason not to talk to her or nothing like that. She didn't rub me the wrong way at all. Now, I had knew racism existed, but like I was going to church and I was the only black person. And all the white folk, they were cool. I would go out to dinner with Dustin and his family. Everybody, I'm the only black person in the restaurant. We would go to tournaments. I'd be the only black dude in the restaurant. I was like, it didn't feel weird. Like I said, I know what bad people look like or like negative energy is. She didn't do that. She just asked questions, make jokes, and she was always smiling. So I figured she's not demonic. She's not a demon. She's not demonic. There's no way.
So when you're at that point where you're asking all these great questions, what got you to ask that final question of like, what if I'm literally completely wrong on this? And then how did you go from there? Obviously, but like what took you up to the final moment?
So I had looked up this Friedrich Nietzsche guy, and it wasn't the video. It wasn't his video. It wasn't the video about Friedrich Nietzsche. It was the comments. There was this at the time. I didn't know what he was. He was an atheist though. There was an atheist going back and forth in the comments with like Christians, and this was like they had like 50 messages. 50 messages. And so what I did was on my it was like a BlackBerry or something. I can't remember what type of, I think it was it was an iPhone. It was like the iPhone 4 or some 5 or some shit. It was like one of them old ones. I screenshot every comment, the whole conversation. Like he was going back and forth with like 3 or 4 people. I screenshotted all of it. And I would read it. And I would look it up. I would look up what the Christians were saying, look up what he was saying. I'm like, damn. And so it got to the point where I started looking for I can't remember what I typed in, but I was just looking for like, is God real on YouTube? I came across 3 channels. YouTube did this. YouTube fucked me up. I came across 3 channels. Dark Matter 335, The Non-Stamp Collector, and The Atheist Experience. Oh my Lord Jesus. Belt to ass. When I started watching, because I'm a kid at heart. Them cartoons fucked me up. Dark Matter and Non-Stamp Collector, I owe them people. Them cartoons, I binged all that shit. Just all of it. All of Dark Matter, all of Non-Stamp Collector, all of it. I know you know what I'm talking about.
Oh yeah.
All of it.
For anyone that doesn't know what we're talking about, I will have the links for those channels beneath this video, so please check them out.
All of it. I watched all of it. And then I came across The Atheist Experience. Lord. Matt Dillahunty. Tracy. Oh, Jesus, Tracy. Woo! Man, look, it was over. They oh my God. I didn't even call myself an atheist. But all that shit, I watched it all. I had always been a question asker. You mean to tell me the biggest question of them all is God? Oh yeah, I'm watching all this. I was watching. I just wanted to listen to the Christians. I really was trying to listen to the Christians, not the atheists. But the shit that they was saying, I'm like, that's tough. That's what changed me. The Non-Stamp Collector, just the stuff I mean, a lot of stuff I never heard before. And I wasn't scared because I wasn't scared to learn. My fear of hell wasn't as strong as my like wanting to know. I was, when my childhood in Memphis and my teenage years in Memphis, that shit was so hard. What's hell? What's hell when you ain't got no food? What's hell when you come home and the lights are off? You can't do your homework because the lights off. What's hell? That's nothing. I was scared of hell, but it didn't stop me from looking into this because I had real world experience with like the end, the bottom. Sleeping in the car as a child with no food and your school clothes dirty and you still gotta get ready in the back of the back seat. All your clothes in trash bag. What the hell? That was the least of my problem. When you done went 2 and 3 weeks wondering if you gonna eat, I wasn't scared of no fire. It didn't keep me from looking at them videos and asking questions.
What was it like the first time you articulated it either to yourself or to a friend to say?
I was scared. Hmm. I didn't call myself an atheist. Hell no. The word, it just sounded bad. It sounded evil. I agreed with them and I liked what they were saying. I didn't want to call myself an atheist though. Yeah. I just was like, I don't know what I don't know. I said, I don't know what I am. I don't know what I am. Don't ask me. I don't know. Nobody asked me because I was hiding the looking into it shit. Nobody knew that I was looking into it. I didn't want to be labeled as an atheist though.
Did you have a pretty strong sense as to how your family and loved ones would respond when you became public?
I didn't know I didn't know that it's like that because I haven't really I never was at a point where I was questioning to where they would get mad or anything. So I didn't know that that is what happens when you leave I didn't know that. We don't go through that in the black community because ain't nobody leaving. You don't get to see nobody become ain't no black atheist. That's not a thing. So I don't have no experience of seeing or trying to no. I didn't know nothing about all that. Oh, you're about to get disowned, motherfucker. I didn't know nothing about all that. I didn't know that was a thing. I'd never heard none of that. I didn't know nothing about any of that. All I knew was, I'm challenging my beliefs, but I ain't finna tell nobody. Because I don't want nobody to ask me no questions and I don't got no answers yet. I'm still looking. And so that's why I didn't call myself an atheist. I said, well, I'm just gonna look. I'm gonna keep watching. I'm for like a month, I'm watching Non-Stamp Collector, Dark Matter, and Atheist Experience all together, and I'm just enjoying watching it. I didn't want to call myself nothing. I just watched.
I know what you mean. It's addicting too to realize that not just that there's so much more information out there.
Yes,
that alone is a big deal, but just to realize that like you are changing the way you ask all your questions and your standard for what is enough evidence for extreme claims to be provable, your standard for that goes up a lot higher. And you're like, yeah, if you're going to claim that, you're going to have to really prove it. It's just, it can't just be written in a book anymore, a book that we don't even know who wrote it. We don't know who's been changing it over the years. Like your standard goes up and eventually it's like we say a lot, you just, once you see it, you can't unsee it. Not just the idea that Christianity is mythology and Judaism is mythology, but just that you can't unsee the fact that you weren't asking the right questions and you were being, sort of the well was poisoned and you were shooed away from asking the right questions and you were trained to be very happy in your ignorance for so long. And once you see that that was your life and that you shouldn't have been so willing to not examine your life and your worldview, once you start examining it, it's like your bullshit meter gets real sensitive. And you're like, something doesn't smell right anymore. Like I can't just say, okay, I believe it anymore. And you go through those hoops a few more times and man, life changes. And it really does. It's like, you remember in the Matrix, I'm going to go back to that, when they plug in the thing when they're training Neo and he's learning, was it jujitsu or something or Kung Fu?
Yeah.
It's like he just pushes the button and like 10 seconds later, he knows Kung Fu. And he's like, holy shit, like I know Kung Fu. But like your mind is just blown. But once it happens, you can't like unblow your mind and it just changes. How long was it between when you were having those thoughts privately and when you actually said it to anybody?
That might have been probably the longest period. That was actually the longest period. I think a year had passed. It was a
Okay.
long. It was a long. That was a long time.
So your worldview shifted and no one knew it for a year.
Mm-mm.
Wow.
I just like, I don't even want to talk about it. I ain't, cause I mean, outside of that professor, I didn't talk about it. She was the only person I talked about it to, but I was like, she wasn't a Christian.
Mm.
She was an atheist, but even she didn't use that term.
Right.
But I didn't ask her what she was. I just listened to her talk. Ask a question, listen to her talk. But after my time in that class, of course she gave me an A+. I think I made like a 98. She was cold. She was an older gay white lady. She had a girlfriend and everything. Which again, it was all this was new to me because when I went to dinner with them, I'm like, I didn't know, I ain't know nothing about. I wasn't like never homophobic or nothing. I just didn't know about all that stuff. So
What was the first conversation when you actually told someone in the Christian world that this was changing?
so I had a one of the dudes that I met when I was cutting grass. When I said I was cutting grass in the summertime. Me and him, we still friends now, and so you know, uh, it was him, it was me, him, and then we had a third friend of ours. He was like very smart dude. He read a lot of books. He gave me. I'm gonna tell you, I'm gonna skip it, but I'm gonna come back to it. This third friend, he gave me the God Delusion book. Yeah, he gave it. It was my first book about all this. He gave it to me,
Mm.
but he was the third friend, and so all of us was like in a group chat together, and so we would talk about like regular stuff, you know. And so I just brought it to their attention. I was like, his name is KD. I'm like, so KD, what you know about like religion and God and stuff like that? And then he was the first person that I talked about it. He was like, well, he's like a conscious, he's more of a conscious spiritual person. Like he's not religious, but he was like one of the first people I started talking about this with. But he didn't know he knew I was smart, but he didn't know I knew I was questioning religion. So when I asked him that and all the books he done read, oh my, he just started, man, yeah, da 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 da. Did you know that? And he's real big, like a science fanatic. He knew all about that stuff, the Big Bang, all that. He knew all of that. And so he was the first person that I actually talked to about it outside of my professor. And we talked about it. Of course, we argued a little bit, but we talked about it for a while. And then when I went to see him in person, he gave me the God Delusion. So he was one of the first people I talked about it with. I still wasn't an atheist at this time, but I was able to at least have somewhere to go to, like, you know how I was telling you, like when I went to dinner with them, they was kind of throwing ideas back and forth. He was the first person I was able to actually do that with in the real world. He was the only he outside of that professor, it was him and my other friend. But my other friend, he wasn't really like he wasn't questioning his religion, nothing like that.
Mm.
But KD wasn't religious, so he was the only person I was able to do this with.
What was it like when you told your mom and your people close to, like your judo instructor?
Mm.
I'm guessing all hell broke loose.
So hmm, I so what when I first became an atheist, when I first started adopting that title, I'm an atheist. I didn't talk. About it. 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 I I started like bashing religion to the point of no return on my Facebook, on my everything. I mean, I had like atheist rage or some shit. So Black Atheist Rage or something. But I didn't talk to them. I just kind of shared little videos and stuff. That wasn't the right way to do it. So I lost everybody. Yeah. No, I lost them all. My immediate family, they know now. We cool. You know, my brothers stuff, we all are still cool. My mom, I never like actually sat down and told her. Like we never had a conversation. But, you know, she knows about the YouTube channel. And we still haven't talked. We still haven't actually sat down and talked about it to this day. We haven't talked about it. But she knows.
Hmm.
But we ain't talked about it. But everybody else outside of my immediate family, they gone. I never talked to them either. Never had a chance to talk about it. I just kind of got blocked. You know, or they unfriend you, they block you, they don't answer the phone, they don't want to talk to you because they seen what I was posting. And I felt like I shouldn't have posted. I should have talked to everybody before I started posting, but I didn't do that because I didn't know how to let it all out. So I just started fucking F God and sharing videos and making fucking videos. I was making. Now I didn't have a YouTube channel, but I was making videos, recording Snapchats of me talking about. Why am I talking about God on Snapchat? That don't even make sense, Tim. That don't even make sense. Why would you be doing that on Snapchat? I lost my barbers, my grandmama, them, uncles, cousins, all that shit gone. You know.
If you could talk to them now and talk it through, what do you think you'd want to say to them?
I'm not a demon. I'm not demonic. You know. I'd be a little mad. I'd be a little upset about, you know, religion and how it's been used, but my frustration and anger, it don't mean I'm not demonic. The devil not controlling me. That's what if I could pull their ear, that's what I would say. The devil's not using me. Yeah, I'd be a little mad, I'd be cursing sometime, but I'm not the devil. Ain't no demon using me. Cause I know that's what they believe. But that's what if I could go back, that's what I would tell them. I'm not a demon.
It's got to be such a crazy journey to lose so many people that you care about, and after you've already been through so much from the rest of the story you'd already shared. But it's amazing how I feel like one of the phrases that I've come to appreciate in life is the phrase "old soul." Someone called me that years ago, and I think they meant it more just like you're a deep thinker and you're poetic, and you like to sit back and reflect, and you're a people watcher, and there's like you're an old soul. You're acting like an old man that's just kind of sitting in the park watching people. And I'm doing that at age 18 and 20, but it's kind of come to me to like have a different meaning in the sense of like an old soul, like you have a second life and then you have a third life. Like you might have had like a life before you were really serious about Christ, and then you get really serious. You have the experiences you talk about, and you're like, oh, I'm real serious. Like before, I was kind of on the fence with God, but now, like I'm on fire. I'm gonna turn the world upside down. I'm gonna give all praise and glory to God, and it's all about Him. And then you kind of go through the phase where you're like on the fence now again, asking hard questions. You're like, I don't even know where I stand or where this is going. I just know that I want the truth more than my current worldview, no matter where it leads. But like, I have to have the truth. I have to be able to stand behind and have integrity. That my worldview is open to examination. That I can ask the hard questions. And I hope I land in Christianity. Hope those hard questions lead me right back to where I have been believing. But I don't know. And you're kind of like almost a new person. and then all of a sudden you escape Christianity, and now you're really a new person. And then you get like a couple of years past it, and you're healing, and you kind of have like 1,000-foot view now for what's going on in terms of like big history, like, you know, the billions of years of history, what's been going on in human history, what's going on in the last, you know, 2, 3, 4,000 years, what's going on in this country in the last 200-300 years. And you're just like, you have this growing sense for where we've been and how much you're like, this is a mind virus. This is literally like screwing our society.
Yeah.
And wow, it was going to take my entire life. I was going to go to my grave thinking this was real. And you just kind of have all these lives that keep happening. And then, of course, a lot of just quiet internal healing where you're like, this was something that was done to me. You all stole my identity, and now I'm claiming it back. But in some ways, it's like, who am I? Because I can't start from the beginning. And I acknowledge it even as I heal. Christianity still has its roots in me in so many ways. Like, there's reasons I get ashamed. There's reasons I feel like I'm not enough. There's reasons that I feel like I'm not doing the right thing, or I shouldn't be resting because I need to be at, you know, the Lord's business. And you realize, man, this thing has so many roots in me. And especially like with sexuality and other things, you're just like, oh my gosh, I am truly like having to reparent myself, but rehumanize myself. I have to reclaim my identity and figure out how to heal and start over, knowing that I can't truly start over. And you end up feeling like, as you kind of just try to put it into poetic senses and find the right words, like, I have lived several lives here. I'm an old soul, and I'm kind of honestly fucking tired of it. I'm tired of like starting over. And I feel like I've got more integrity now than I've ever had. I'm more honest with the facts, and I have more facts to have integrity with. I got more information. I got a better way to think through it than I've ever had. But now that I'm like the best person, I'm the best version of myself. You all don't want that. You don't want the best version of me. You want the version of me that's going to be stuck in the prison for my mind. And it's a hard journey. It makes me think a lot that, you know, community means a lot. Community means more than ever. Once you escape, you have to redevelop it. But it also reminds me of like, this is in many ways a solo journey. Like, you're going to be on this journey, not just because people around you are going to pass away and eventually you'll be the one passing away, but just because there's a lot of people that have, and ourselves, you know, we do it too to other people. I'm sure I'm not pointing the finger just at everybody else, but like, we have these hoops that we want people to jump through. And if they're like us and they believe like us and they don't threaten our worldview in some way, that they're the only ones that can get through. And then we disappoint them, or they disappoint us. And you realize friendships come and go for a season. And you're like, I'm actually more alone in this universe than I ever thought. Like, there are so many people around me. And yet this is a very private, quiet, solo journey. And that, at times, that I'm an introvert, at times that feels quite fine. And at times like that really sucks, because I really want to be so connected to people. And I want to, you know, that's how I thrive, is this connection, the intimacy of life. And it's such a weird journey. And you wish that other people could just appreciate not just where you've landed, but the fact that you have taken some of the hardest, bravest steps possible to be the best version of yourself and to live the truest version of you. And at that moment that you need basically the world to applaud and say, you did the best you could, you're amazing. That's the moment that they condemn you and say, man, it's a shame you ruined your life. And it sends you into a tailspin at times. And you're just like, all right, you know, I'll let you live your life and I'll live mine. And I guess that's the way it ends. But it's hard stuff.
Yeah. You know, the black community is like over 90% Christian. A lot of Christian. This is who we are. When you give this shit up, it's almost like you saying, like, F Martin and then F Harriet, and they treat you like you ain't black. So it's like, well, I made a video a while back. It's one of my first videos. And it just like, the title of the video is called Black Christians Are the Worst, or Black Atheists Are the Worst. It was Black Atheists Are the Worst. Because at that time it felt like, well, I'm not a Christian, so they treat me like I'm not black. But now I'm an atheist. There ain't no black atheists. All the atheists is white. It's just white people. And so it's like it was hard for me to. I ain't had no friend. Ain't no atheist. Ain't no atheist. First of all, I live in the Bible Belt. You ain't gonna find no atheists here. Ain't no atheist friends. Ain't no people that's. I had one person, and he lived fucking an hour away in a whole nother state. He lived like in the middle of Mississippi. And shit. Only reason why I knew KD is because him and my other friend had worked together in Mississippi, like on the edge of fucking Mississippi. That's the only reason why I knew him. And so we weren't able to get together regularly. When we got together, it was because, like long after I was an atheist already, I started rapping. That's when he was a rapper. He's a rapper now. So we went to the studio together. And the first time we went to the studio together, that's when he gave me the book. But before that, it's no atheist. It's no people. It's like my community is all online. But before I was online, I had nobody. It's nothing. I was genuinely like alone. It's like you don't have nobody to talk to about it. Nobody to share it with. Can't nobody really relate to it. Cause it's like who do you go to? The counselor at the school is a Christian. All the counselors at the Christian that was Christian. What they gonna tell little black atheist? What they gonna tell me? And then I knew that they was gonna give me a Christian answer because before I was an atheist and I was talking to them, they was giving me Christian answer. So I knew I didn't know how it was gonna go, and I ain't wanna ruin the rapport with them like I ruined with my family. So I'm like, well, I'm not even gonna bring it up. I don't know. So you talking about identity crisis? Oh my God, I was fucked up. With nowhere to go, no people, nothing. All of my judo coaches is white Christians, all of them. My whole family black Christian, and ain't no in between where we can be Christian and talk about it. I was scared to bring it up to them folks. I'm like, man, hey, the way they in, I know it's gonna be smoke. I know it's gonna be a problem. I ain't had nobody.
How long ago did you escape?
It was 2019, okay. Like right before, like that spring semester. What was it like? The spring of 2020. It was right before COVID. COVID is when the deconstruction happened, and I became an atheist. Like I want to say during COVID. That's when I yes, yeah, that's right. So in the middle of 2020 is when I was like full-fledged atheist. 2019 is when that semester is when I had the deconstruction with the professor and stuff like that. That was like at the end of 2019. Okay. The fall semester of 2019.
So we've actually been out for about the same time. I escaped at the end of September of 2019. Yep. So it's been about 6 years for me exactly.
During COVID, because if you go watch like I think my third video, I was at work during COVID. I was at work on my lunch break making videos. So yeah, it was rough. I actually got fired from that job because everybody was Christian. My supervisor, he was a pastor, and he found out I was an atheist, and they kind of like blackballed me and grew me up for crazy stuff. I knew it because I knew it was because of the atheist thing, because before he knew, I was like his goddamn son. And after he found out, he seen my, like like your YouTube is connected to your email address. So when you send an email, whatever that name is on YouTube is gonna pop. I didn't, I was new to the YouTube. I was new to the game. I ain't know that shit. I done sent him a fucking email. It's got Black Atheist Rants at the top of it. He done fired my ass. I said, damn. Fired the shit out of me.
Well, in terms of, I do want to go to talk about your platform here in a minute as we bring it to a close, but just since we are kind of talking about that time frame, and it's been for you about 5 or 6 years, you stepped away from it enough to do some sort of post-mortem, so you can step back and say, there's some lessons here, some big lessons here, but also a lot of insights into how to heal. And I know we all talk about things like community, or maybe getting a counselor, secular counselor, if we can afford it. But just in terms of like, besides those obvious things, like what else would you say has made the most impact on you getting regrounded and starting fresh and reclaiming your identity, and just healing from the trauma, being able to identify what was done to you, and in the name of Christ, and just how to start over? Like, what are some of the things that you would advise to somebody that's going through the hard parts?
The first thing I had to understand is, no, my family didn't know that. They didn't know. They don't know better. They didn't know. I was and this is where the rage came from. And I was like, God damn it, it ain't rocket science. How are you not seeing this? But it's like, brother, you just found out about this. Like, chill. Like, you just found, and you only found out because of a fucking class where that's her job to fucking make you think. But if it wasn't for that class, would you be here right now? So I kind of, man, yeah, I'm still conflicted, because I think one of my earliest critiques is like I'm too hard on them. But it's like nobody was hard on me. And if somebody would have been like, think, I would have been out of that shit. But it's like I wake up some days, I'm like, damn, it's indoctrination.
Hmm.
But then it's like the switch flip. I was indoctrinated. It's like, so it's hard for me to, I wrestle with like that, forgiving myself. Like, damn, you really fell for the trick. Like what you said, it ain't my fault. And it ain't, they brainwashed and fucking colonized and indoctrinated. They can't, how they supposed to know? You gotta forgive them people. But it was so hard, I couldn't let it go. Cause it's like, y'all just lied to me for fucking 20 something years. I'm in my 20s and I ain't never heard of fucking slavery in the Bible. You need your ass whooped. But it's like, wait a minute, they didn't know about it either. Cause they didn't read it either. You gotta forgive them people. You gotta, like, it's messed up, but you can't be mad at them. Like,
Yeah.
man, it's such a fucking double-edged sword, because people do bad shit in the name of God. And then it's other people that don't know about the bad shit in the name of God. They just believe in it because of fear, because of the bad shit that was done to them. It's like, I tell people it's case by case.
Yeah.
You can't meet, you gotta forgive them people though, because they didn't know no better. And a lot of them, they scared for their life. They gambling salvation and eternity on this stuff. So I be like, you know, they did what they thought was the right thing. So I try to forgive them. And I try to, like, just tell the YouTube channel is actually what helped me. Cause I wouldn't, when it comes to like healing and trying to understand who I am, and, gaining that sense of self, I've always been a people person. I like to help people. If one of us is having a bad day, I'm fucked up for the week. That's always been that's always been, I can't change that. So even after I left religion, I ain't want to get it up. I didn't want to give up. Well, who was I? Who was I outside of the religion? I was a good person. I cared about others. I was helpful. I gave everything I could to my family. Anytime somebody needs something, I was there to give it to them. I tried to be just in people's corner. Help. Well, just because I ain't a Christian no more, I don't mean I can't be who I am. That's still me. And so you can't give up your hobbies. You can't give up your, the things that you were doing that you feel were good, that you thought you were doing in the name of Jesus. You can still do that stuff. I still do it. And I feel like me. Like it feels like, yeah, this this was me when I was religious, but hey, look, I left my religion and I'm still a good person. You can't tell me I'm being controlled by no demon. I got compassion and empathy for people. That's always been me. So even though I left my religion, I'm still a good person. You know, I still do judo. I still draw and paint. I still like to exercise. I still like playing video games, playing Madden, playing Call of Duty. You know, I still speak to everybody, hold the door for everybody. Man, woman, child, black, white, Chinese. I still hold the door for everybody. Still speak to everybody. Still, you know, even in law enforcement, I'm still trying to help people. So ain't nothing changed. So you gotta forgive them people, man. You can try to help them and educate them, but you still gotta be like, it's not they fault. Because when you look at history, you're like, damn, they did it to them too. It happened to all of us. All of us been indoctrinated with this shit. This religion, you can't. You know, I would tell people, you're not a good person just because of your religion. You can be a good person without it. Yes, you can. Cause if like if something changed to where like you find out your God ain't real, or maybe your religion ain't as true as you thought, or maybe it's based on true things, but there's a lot of mythology in it. Are you gonna start doing crazy? No. Do you still cry when your favorite sad song come on? All right then. Is that still your favorite TV show? All right then. Do you love street tacos still? All right then. What's your favorite color? Do you still like to fucking read that book on Tuesday? Okay, you still here. You ain't going nowhere. And you're not gone. That's not that. And I had to learn that, like, damn, I'm still here. I'm a human now. You know, you go from a damn. You know, it's crazy because they say God don't want us to be mindless robots or brains in a vat. You go from being a mindless robot in a brain in a vat. It's like, wait a minute, I'm a good person because this what it is. Oh shit, this is cold. Ain't nobody controlling me. Oh yeah, that's cold. You mean I'm really genuinely feeling this? I care about people because it's in my heart. That's cold, man. That's cold.
Good words. It's amazing that journey you're talking about, and it's funny when you were talking about just forgiving the people that just don't get it. I was thinking even of Jesus's very words: "Forgive them, for they know not what they do." And that's very, very true. Like I think that one and the truth will set you free. Like it's ironic that Jesus is wrong about a lot, but like they say, a broken clock is right twice a day. Like he's right a couple times, and we do need to forgive the Christians in our lives because they don't know what they're doing, and certainly the truth does set us free. It's amazing too. Like for my journey, I truly thought through some of the atrocities that we talked through, but to me, for some reason, the only thing that really got me out was learning comparative mythology and learning the origins. And one of the biggest ones that shook me up, and I've worked on a project, and it's still going on, but the Book of Enoch. I didn't realize that it's quoted like 150 to 200 times in the New Testament. And I'm like, when it hit me, and I did my own little study, like to realize that it was quoted that much. I know I was always told it's like quoted 2 or 3 times in like the first or second Peter and so forth and Jude, but I'm like, it's not 2 or 3 times. It's like 150, 200 times. And when I saw that, and I realized how the Jesus story was very heavily based on the Book of Enoch, it hit me like, how can you go through your entire life going to church and Christian school and reading all these books and hearing all these sermons and going to Bible college, and nobody ever mentions the huge impact that the Book of Enoch has on this whole thing? And that's just like one little teeny slice of 100 or 200 things that we could talk about. Jesus being based on the Dionysius character and the Helios character, and you're just like, oh my goodness, there's so much more that I just didn't know. But it's like the rabbit hole in Alice in Wonderland. Like, you don't know how deep that hole goes, and once you fall into it, you're like, there is so much that I just did not know. And once you see it, you also get like a primer where things just pop. Like when you start to see like the road to Emmaus. Jesus reveals himself in the road to Emmaus. You're like, oh, the Emmaus character from Homer's Odyssey. I see what you did there. And then Golgotha, the place of the skull. Oh, I see what you're doing there. And then, go to the water pitcher, the man with carrying the water pitcher, and he'll tell you how to find the upper room for the Last Supper. Okay, the man with the water pitcher is Aquarius from astrology. Like, okay, so you're all doing a bunch of, and then you start to see more and more, and then you look in, the first or second chapter of Luke where there's this all these numbers. Like, why are there so many numbers all of a sudden in this chapter? There's so many of them. You're like, and then you start to realize like what they're doing with gematria and the numerology, and then you realize like Pythagoreanism and John 21 where Jesus says pulling all the fish. They're like, no, we've been doing this all night. There's no fish. He's like, do it one more time just for me. And they pull in all this fish, and instead of going to their Lord and Master to worship him, they stop and they count the fish, and it's exactly 153, which is a Pythagorean magic number. You're like, oh my gosh, like there are so many layers here.
Yeah.
And eventually you're just
deep.
like, it's deep, and it just keeps going and going. My journey into that stuff was like 3 years of it. Damn. And I just mind blown, like, how is this possible? And why did I not know about any of this stuff? And then, that's just the Jesus character. Then you go into the Yahweh character and it just gets deeper again. But it's an amazing journey, and you wish you could share some of the information with them, but you know that they're either going to not listen, or they're not going to care, or they're going to find some way to explain it away, or they're going to say some apologist somewhere has good answers for that, and that's good enough for me. And your heart just hurts. And especially when you look at things going on in our country today with Christian nationalism, and you just think, and in Gaza, you just think, this is where religion gets us. Religion is not just a mind virus for control. It's a mind virus that leads us to be the worst we are. And I've said this many times on my channel. When you think monstrous thoughts long enough, it turns you into a monster. And you can see how the people in politics and in these different countries that are doing horrible things in the name of their religion, in the name of Yahweh, the name of Jesus, they're willing to justify so much because they're sure that God is on our side. And your heart just aches because you're like, we are so, like, we're like on the precipice as a species of becoming so much better than we've ever been. And yet the religion is just pulling us back. It's like somebody that's, stuck in a pit, and you finally found a way to escape, and they're like grabbing your ankle and they're like, get back down here. Like, I got to escape. But you know that some of them, they're going to go to their deathbed saying, you're wrong, and get back here in Plato's cave, get back and, focus on the shadows. They're the real thing. Like, no, I've been out of the cave. I've seen it's not shadows. There's a real world out here. Like, no, get back here, get stuck with the shadows. And it breaks your heart. But I love what you're doing. Could you maybe bring us to a wrap up by just telling us what we can expect as you kind of enlarge your territory, as we used to say, enlarge your territory with Black Atheist Rants, with the platform. Again, I have all the links beneath the video for it. But you're on YouTube, you're on TikTok, you're on Instagram. You're doing amazing work. I mean, it really is amazing stuff. What can we expect? What's your goal with that platform?
So when it's probably because of the algorithm or whatever, but when I first typed in Black Atheists on YouTube, of course, I was already watching the Atheist Experience. But when I typed in the term together, Black Atheists on YouTube, my boy Matt Dillahunty popped up, and it wasn't even him talking to a Black atheist. It was him talking to a Black person that called in about slavery. And when I first went to YouTube and typed in Black atheist, nothing popped up. Of course, shit pops up now, but nothing popped up. Back in 2019, if you would have typed this in, it was just white people. It wasn't nothing. I'm like, damn, it ain't even it wasn't nothing. No channels. None that was like what I was like. I didn't find nothing. You had, I was like, damn. Now when you type in Black Atheist, I pop up. I'm one of the first things, and when you go to YouTube right now and type in Black Atheist, I pop up. And I think that's what I wanted. I wanted to, when I go live, the first thing that pop up at the bottom is like, it says welcome home. Cause I wanted to create like a platform where we could just get together. If you go watch my older live streams, I used to go live for 10 and 12 hours. Just hanging, we laughing the whole, just hanging out. Black, why you be on live so long? Because when I press this red button, that's it. These my friends. I just wanted to like have a place where people can kick their feet up and we just chill. We ain't even gotta talk about Jesus. We can just make jokes. You can talk about your favorite goddamn whatever. And so, but of course, over the years, I've read more, I've learned more, I've researched more. I've actually deep dived more into like the historicity of all this stuff. I'm more on that side. I'm not really a field bro. I'm not a field bro. I'm more of a historian or historicist. I would prefer to take you to the time, places, people, and events where this was happening, why it happened, how they made your God up, how you get your Jesus character, why they did it, when they did it, what was the. I'm more on that side of things. And so on my channel, there is no filter. Ain't no filter. I don't have no filter. And my channel is not a safe space. I don't want people to. It's not a safe space where you can talk about your religious worldview. No. Facts, evidence, and truth. No. I don't have no. Ain't no. I don't respect religion. I don't respect religion, and I'm not going to. I respect people. I don't respect religion. I don't have a filter, and it's no BS. I'm not here to coddle, play with you. I'm not trying to be friends with Christian scholars. No, dog. Hey, I'm not trying to get on stage and have an intellectual pissing contest that they call it a debate. No. I'm here. I want the truth. And sometimes we have enough channels where they're just trying to, what is your evidence for God? Or like, no, they made it up and they used it to control and oppress people with a period at the end of that. That's the facts. That's not there. I'm here for the part that ain't up for debate. If you want to say, do Christians live longer? Hey, have at that. If you want to say, do Christians put more oil on their face before they go to church? I don't care. That's your debate. Is it true? No. So I caution people. I curse. And I say the truth. It ain't we gonna laugh, we gonna kick it, but it's gonna be work. We putting belt to ass over there. So if you come over there and I just wanna
Well, I love it because you're being honest. You're being honest and you're getting right to it. Because at a certain point, like that's where, and I'll keep this short because I know we've talked for a while, but like at a certain point, you just got to say, like, enough already. You're trying to defend a book that you have no idea where it really came from. Admit, like, you have no idea who really wrote this. You have no idea who's edited it and who's changed it, which books were in and which books were out. You have no idea the integrity of the early church fathers, the politics and bribes and stuff for people arguing which books should go in and which versions of which books. You have no idea the infighting that was going on. There's so many versions of early Christian. You'll have no idea. And you're going to be like, but I know that the one book I've got today is the one true book that's been preserved by God Almighty. Like, you don't know anything.
Yeah, no.
And at certain points, you just got to be like, I would love to sit here. I mean, I feel like just saying this sort of tongue in cheek. I would love to sit here and debate with you, but I'm not going to do it.
No.
Because, the reality too is there's a lot of people that are willing to be honest with that and say, this is a bullshit religion. This is a bullshit worldview. And this is about control and it is full of lies. And therefore, they're at this stage of saying, I want to figure out how to move past this and heal. And that's where, to me, that's where the money shot is to say, I want to go where the people that are willing to be honest with this are.
Yeah.
And if somebody wants to debate, I'm like, there are channels for that, and go have fun if you really want that, or create your own channel. We are here to say the argument time is done. Christianity does not have a way to fight anymore. It has been mangled and handicapped in every which way. It's obvious that it's just another mythology. And if they can't see it, I mean, like for example, I use this illustration a lot, but like if you can't see that saying you have a God who's asking you when you have little baby boys to cut off the end of their penis, you can't see the twistedness and the bizarreness of that. And you go to the Lord's table and you're going to pretend to eat a dead man's body and drink a dead man's blood. Like that's like ancient blood magic, and that's animism. You know, you kind of get the power from the dead man's body. Like, you can't see the twisted, sadistic tribalism and animism of this, and you want to keep on arguing. No, I know you think it's not real, but it is real. Like, go have your own, like, live your life. I wish you the best, but I'm going to do my best to free the people that are ready to be freed, because there are some people that are ready to be freed, and I want to put my energy there. And so I think you're on a similar wavelength there. I think what you're doing is absolutely amazing and awesome, and I hope you will not stop. I hope your platform just expands in every which way. And honestly, I know some people that I'm gonna when we're offline here, I'm gonna make sure we get some connections. I need to get you on a whole bunch of other people's platforms, because you are absolutely amazing. We need to just put you on blast. So
I appreciate that. I'm with you. I mean, I've watched a lot of debates, Tim. I've watched a lot of debates, and I've had enough of how we using field bro in metaphysics when history, archaeology, anthropology disproves all this shit. The history of, I mean, like what you said, a comparative mythology. This ain't new, and it's like, how we letting them get on stage and say something can't come from nothing. Therefore, a tribal storm deity turned monotheistic deity because of Zoroastrianism, turned son of God because of fucking Greek Hellenized minds. How are we saying this is true? Based on something can't come from nothing. When history shows us, and comparative mythology shows us, and anthropology shows us why they make up gods, how they make up gods, who made what god, what would the benefit be, we gotta let that go. I'm with you, Tim. I'm with you 100%.
Amazing stuff. Well, I know I've kept you for a long time, but I just want to.
I enjoyed it, man.
Yeah, it's been awesome. I just want to say a couple last things real quick. By the way, before I said, do you have any other last things you want to add?
Don't cut nothing out. Don't cut it out.
Awesome.
We had our moment, and people need to see that. They need to see us just sit there and just, you know what, damn. Black and Tim, we different, but it's all the same. Yeah. We feel it. You feel it. We here together. They want us divided. They want you and me to, they don't want this. We can't give them that. No. So I enjoyed it. Don't cut that shit out. Keep it all in just let it roll. And I appreciate you for having me on here.
Absolutely. Well, just as a final word then from my side, I just want to say, you really are one of the most impressive people that I've ever met. One of the most amazing people. And I don't say that lightly. Like, you have absolutely shocked me with some of the ways that you get cut right to the chase on your videos. And I really do encourage people here. My last plug for your channel. Please, everybody, go subscribe. TikTok, Instagram, YouTube. You're doing great stuff, and I hope I'm going to connect you to some other people. See your face again real soon on the channels.
I'm ready, man.
But great stuff, and I really appreciate what you're doing. I appreciate also your openness, your honesty, your vulnerability. You're exactly what we need. We need to hear so much more from you. So please ramp it up, keep going. But I'll wrap up by saying we've been speaking with Black Atheist Rants, Bar for short. Bar, thank you so much. Really great to get to know you. Great to hear your story. Thank you again for your time today.
All right, y'all.
Thank you.